Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today I am going to be working with this paper pad to show you 3 very quick and easy, gorgeous cards to put together. We don't involve all the bits and pieces, all the tools, all the things, all the dies. We're going to keep it really, really simple and end up with 3 stunning cards. This is a reminder to you that over this busy, beautiful holiday period that not everything has to be overwhelming. We can keep it simple and still end up with beautiful cards. Of course, you can take any of the techniques in today's video and shift them to any occasion. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is that the front and the back cover, so here is the front cover, they have included extra designs, extra little things that you can cut out, which I absolutely love when companies go that extra mile and use all that real estate rather than it just being a blank page for the front page. They make good use of it. So these are all double-sided. This is called Stitched with Love from P13. This is a 6x6 paper pad with 24 double-sided sheets. There are 4 sheets of 6 different designs. So that gives us a lot of options. Now let's start with card number 1. So I am going to be using some circle dies, but what would work out 1,000 times better is if you had a circle punch, because I use this one die to cut out all of these individually. So if you have a circle punch, or you can do it with like a square and you can put them on an angle so that they're kind of like a diamond shape. But with these, I actually ended up having so many different options because obviously there is the front and the back that we can then go ahead and use. So I have got all these dots here and I don't know how many I need. That's why I just did a lot of them. So I'm starting off with a piece of the pink cardstock from the paper pad. This is roughly, I think, 3 3/4 by 5-ish inches. I have got a piece of double-sided tape along there, and then I'm just going along the bottom. Now these are all going to hang off the edges at different points, so don't stress about that. We're going to trim it all up and make it look beautiful and pretty. And then this is just, this reminds me of like a fishtail, I guess, or scales. This is what I think of when I always do this technique. It's not a new technique, but it is handy to remember the techniques that are out there that are not so complicated, and yet this card ends up looking really, really lovely in my opinion. You can let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts and what you could do for this card and the different occasions that you could use it for, the different color schemes that you could include. I mean, obviously you can make this Christmas, you could make this a Valentine's card, all the good things. So I'm just going along, and then in the middle of the previous 2 I put the next one above. So really, really easy. I like that this doesn't involve perfection. I'm just trying to, the only thing I'm trying to do is make sure that they don't have the same 2 patterns next to each other of the dots, but that's not very hard. I have a good selection to choose from. I'm doing solids, I'm doing patterns, I'm doing the florals, and I want to go about 3/4-ish of the way up, because then I'm going to pop some ribbon around here to disguise that very top layer. You could absolutely just add a scrap of paper, like one of the solid pieces, I think would go really nicely, maybe even the green piece, that would be beautiful. But they have all of these gorgeous bouquets on the back here, and I really kind of want to use these buttons too. They look very 3D. But I'm just going to choose one of the bouquets. As I said, this is on the back. This is kind of bonus material, and this is what I'm going to use as sort of a nice little focal point. I do fussy cut this out, which is super, super simple. I have my little fussy cutting scissors. If you have been card making for any amount of time, I do suggest that a good pair of fussy cutting scissors is fantastic to have on hand. Choose a sentiment, any sentiment, doesn't matter which one you have. This one is a birthday one. It's going to be from the Gina Big Birthday Stamp Set. I'm going to put a piece of double-sided tape across here. I have some ribbon. This is a different colored pink, but I think it still goes okay. Now I could see some of the pattern through the ribbon on if I just did one layer. So I ended up just putting a second layer of double-sided tape, and then I will add another layer of ribbon on top, and that solves that problem. It's actually not really a problem. I could have just left one layer, but you know me, I like to have things just so I'm going to do 2 layers of that one. It gives it a little bit of shine, a different texture to the card, and then I'm just going to pick a gorgeous little sentiment. It says birthday blessings, and I'm going to pop that to the left hand side of my little focal point there. As I said, this could be for any occasion. You change up the colors, change up that little focal point piece, and you've got a whole different card creation. Now, as I said, I did it onto a card front so that I could glue it onto a card base. I just think that also reduces the number of little circles that I needed to cut out as well. But you can see I have some left over, so I'm going to use a technique that I used in a video not too long ago, because waste not, want not. I have gone to the effort of creating those circles, so I feel like I want to make sure I can use them. So this is where I'm going to put this down onto a white card base, a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. I do my little trick so that I can get everything lined up, because I've put all of this hard work into the card front, so I do not want to get it wonky at this point in the show. And then I can pull out those tabs, and this card didn't actually take me very long. Die cutting the circles is what took me the longest, but I was okay. I was just, I was distracted. I was listening to a podcast probably, and I was happy away die cutting. Now we are going to move on to the next one. So this one is going to be similar, because I had those circles left over, similar to a card that I did in a previous video. I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive sheet on the back of a piece of silver cardstock. Then I have this thank you die. Now this sort of partially cuts, it won't cut along the bottom line. This is a really, really, really old die, I think from maybe Simon Says Stamp, a long time ago. This is one of the first ones I got, and I just really love it. I have a very, very small craft space, and so I just truly keep the things I love. And I just love this one. Very nice, very simple, very plain. Yeah, I really like it. So I'm going to keep that as my sentiment. And then out of the scraps here, I'm going to use my little single hole punch. I love this little hole punch. There is nothing fancy about it. It is so simple, but that also means there's nothing to break and nothing to go wrong. It has the little catcher up the top that you can empty out. And then I have got a piece of acetate that I will use as kind of like a nice clear window to pop everything up on. So for the circles, this one is just going to be dotty, spotty, beautiful. I'm going to choose different patterns and things. Of course, I'm getting less and less now, so I do have less and less choice, but I am trying to get some floral, some solids, some patterns, all the good things to mix it up. And I've just got them completely randomly over my page. Now I am going to use some double-sided tape to pop these on. I don't love to use liquid adhesive when it comes to acetate. I just find it takes so long to dry, much longer, because it can't absorb into that plastic obviously. And then I add these little dots all over the place. I'm going pretty quickly because I showed a different version of this card in a whole different card making video. I showed different versions of how to make this card, so that's why I'm moving relatively quick. I did put on some double-sided tape, so it's going to pop up off that page, and even just look at that, so cool, so simple. I really love the simplicity of this card, and yet I think it's really, really appealing. I will try and link that video up in the top right hand corner of this video and down below in the description box, in case you would like to check out a video of how to make different kinds of this card. And as well as always, there will always be the links to the products that I have used in today's video, or anything that I can still link. I can still find things such as this thank you die, probably not, but I'm sure that you have something in your stash, a die, a stamp, something that you could add on, a little banner perhaps, that would go just fine. Now this one here is, again, beautiful, simple card making. So this is some of the sort of scraps that I have left over from, I cut off some of these pieces for die cutting out the circles and things, and so they are already loose out of my little paper pad, so I may as well make the most of them. This green one here is going to be, again, my backdrop, so I'm going to cut this down to roughly about 3 3/4 by 5. I don't tend to measure very well. I tend to just measure against my card base to make sure it looks relatively even. So from there, this is just about, you could do this with scissors. Honestly, if you have a die, that's great too, but I just have a trimmer. Really just a trimmer and scissors, and maybe some plain dies if you want to, a couple of sentiment stamps, and you're away laughing for all 3 of these cards. So I really do love using less sometimes, not having it complicated. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love spending lots and lots of time on a card and things, but those are really special cards for really special people often. And so I often often make at this time of year quite a few just these quick, simple, gorgeous cards that I enjoy making. I know people enjoy giving them away. So I really do like using and making the most of what I have in my stash, such as this, where I'm just taking the leftover parts of these foam dots. Perfect, isn't it? It's going to hold up our little presents here and give it perfect dimension. I'm taking a little piece of silver ribbon, very, very delicate silver ribbon, and I'm just going to adhere it underneath that first gift. Then I have the second layer here. Now watch, I put this down and I did not want this color. I actually want the floral on the other side. So you will note that I don't push things down super hard, and once I heated this a little bit with my heat gun, I was able to peel off the adhesive without getting anything wrong. So I was able to put it back down as I originally wanted it to. And this is just going to be a big stack of gifts, like a big present. So I tuck that little bit of ribbon in there, cut the excess bit, it's stuck to the foam adhesive on the back, so it's nice and secure in place. And I've got a nice little stack of presents with just using that one paper pad. Then using that leftover ribbon tail, I'm going to tie a little bow, a little delicate little bow that I can pop on top of everything. And that little bow is going to sit right on top of the stack of presents, and then I will leave a little bit of room on the card base. The card base is going to be the same standard size, the 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and it's going to be white, but I want to leave a little bit of room so that I can stamp out a sentiment here. I have this gorgeous happy birthday, except for I'm going to cut this apart because I don't want it stacked. I want it to go side by side, so there's plenty of room for me to cut it apart, and if I need to put it back together next time, it'll fit nicely because the photopolymer just sort of snuggles, nests back into each other where it once was. And so I've got a nice little stamped sentiment to go down the bottom, plain and simple. Some liquid glue to pop this card panel on the front, and then don't forget my little bow, that's the little cute bit up the top. But 3 beautiful, easy cards. So I hope that you have enjoyed this. I loved putting these cards together, so I hope that you've enjoyed it too. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below, but I will see you in the next